fixed costs minus variable costs equals operating income, correct? Right. And so algebraically, total revenue equals fixed costs plus variable costs plus operating income. It's just an algebraic shift. Okay? But this is just this in particular, most clearly, is just an income statement written out horizontally. Good. Good question. Any other questions? Comments, concerns, random thoughts? Concerns? Because what's true? How are we doing for time? We have 25 minutes.
Never mind, sorry. I have 3 classes in a row, so I lose track of time really easily. I don't know what time we get out of what. I just sit here.
You will. I'm pretty sure you will pretty soon. Do you have, because what did we say was true of break even? How much is income? 0. And what do I got on the board? Break even in units includes income. Dr. Fessler? What's going on there?
Just put a 0 there.
In case you have a targeting down there.
Yeah, ooh, you folks are good. You folks are good. Because, well, one thing, this is something you have to memorize, so wouldn't you rather memorize just 2 formulas rather than 4? And so we can use this for 2 purposes. When income is 0, what are we calculating? Break even. When we put a number in for operating income, we can calculate how many units will be required to earn an operating income of insert number here. Okay? And so we can use that same formula for 2 purposes, which is really beautiful, isn't it? Same for break even in dollars. But I do have an exercise that I'm going to do to try and help us remember that, because students do forget this. Students forget this. And there's a few people who know what's coming. And so you folks need to be helpful. Okay, so I'm going to, I only ask you to do this twice all semester, where I'm going to ask a question, and you all chorally respond. Okay, you all together give me the answer. And now, because there's like 30 of you, this should be very easy. You all together, all 30 of you together, need to be louder than me. Sir? I do believe that was you, was that not? Somebody did. Okay, so I'm going to ask the question. What, sir?
No, we're just saying which who it was. Continue.
Was it him? I think it was. Yeah. So I'm going to ask the question. We're getting distracted. Focus. Focus. So all together now. Oh, actually, that's not the word. That's not how I'm supposed to say it. Class, at break even, net income is
0.
And you didn't say a word. Class, at break even, net income is
0.
And you can be louder than that. That's not. I'm not sure that's even as loud as me yet. Class, at break even, net income is
0.
Thank you. Class, a little more people like TJ. Class, at break even, net income is
0.
Awesome. What, TJ? Heard? It can, yes. Awesome. So why do I do that? So you remember. Apparently, you all have now experienced the most memorable moment of this semester. And unfortunately, it's in the second week of class. So it's all downhill from here. But I do want you to remember, because there's a question on the first exam and on the final, both, where because I give you operating income, people will write in the number, do the math. And by the way, my exams are all multiple choice, and so out of the warmth and kindness of my heart, when you inappropriately include operating income in this formula, I will give you that answer as an option, so that way you kind of can leave that question feeling pretty warm and fuzzy. And then should you get it wrong, and come to see me and say, Dr. Fessler, I did this right. And I just have to say one word, class. And they're like, oh, yes. And I know there was one semester, for whatever reason, it was on the final, my graduate assistant at the time who was doing the grading was like, Dr. Fessler, I mean, there's one question where literally a third of the people in the class wrote the word class with an exclamation point by the problem. And my grad assistant did not understand why. So I had to kind of explain all of that to him. Okay, so please remember, at break even, net income is. Okay, let's look at the next page. A change in, and specifically we're going to look at some changes. Let's look at this formula right here. Let's look at this formula right here. So let's talk about number one, a change in fixed costs. A change in fixed costs. And specifically, let's talk about an increase in fixed costs. So not just a random change, but an increase in fixed costs. When fixed costs increase, Victoria, what will it be its effect? Victoria is over in this corner of the world. Victoria is there. We'll get there. Victoria, if fixed costs increase, what will be the effect on break even?
It will also increase.
Why do you say that?
Because the more costs you have, the more you have to sell to get
Yes.
cover the costs.
And so, it's very just mathematic. It's just algebraic. If the numerator goes up, what effect is that going to have on the answer? It's also going to go up. Very good, very good. So the second one, a change in variable cost per unit. Alex, what effect is that going to have? And specifically an increase in variable cost per unit, number two. What effect is that going to have on break even in units?
It's going to go down.
You have no idea. Why do you have no idea? Where does variable cost per unit appear in the break even in units formula? CMU. How do you calculate CMU? It's right there on the same page.
That right there.
Yes. And what is that right there?
Selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit.
Yes, sir. So if we increase variable cost per unit, what effect is that going to have on the answer, break even per unit, or break even in units? Let me think. It'll go down if you increase variable cost per unit?
So it wouldn't.
If variable cost per unit goes up, what happens to this number, up or down?
It goes down.
It goes down. And
BE
so
goes up.
BE goes up, okay? Now notice, well, you don't notice because we haven't done it, but one way you can answer this question is mathematically. Make up all these numbers, calculate break even, change the one number you're being asked to examine, redo the math, and then just check out the answers. What's it going to do? You don't have to think through it like we did. You can just do math again, answer. You can do that on my exams. You can do that on the big exams, which is where I learned how to do that, was studying for the big exams, CPA, CMA. You make the problem, make a conceptual problem very easy, okay? Good, good, good. Jim, who knows he's coming, because we've got the front row. So Jim knows he's next, and Jackie knows she's next, and Shar, since I told her, now knows that she comes after Jackie. So, Jim, if we increase, this is number 3, if we increase